Hey everybody, sorry for being a couple minutes late. The time got away from getting all right. How's it going? Happy Sunday. Used to have a crowd early already. What? Yeah, leave me to. Sorry. Oh. Need to figure out a way to do things like Saturday morning nights to like prep, because there's been a lot going on in 2026 from just being busy. I really need to like figure out my eyebrows. Getting things done on Saturday night, but then last night we had a lot to do. And I don't know. I'll figure it out. Anyway, good morning. Hello. Got your coffee? Are we ready? How's everybody's weekend been? What's going on? What's new? You can tell me about the bad, but you have to promise to tell me about the good. Oh, that's fun. I was looking for these. To do a Spanish class in the other room. I didn't know where my headphones had run off to. And they weren't on my desk like they normally were. On my stuff, turns out. You hear me okay? I know that the mic is theoretically closer than it used to be, but I also know that I have cotton in my mouth, so. Nothing. Any epiphanies on the restructuring of it all? I know sometimes when I'm reorganizing, I'm like, oh, it could go there. Also doing some of that, but I'm sure it will get there. Nothing. My notes all together. Also doing some snacks. You getting anything good? I only want good snacks here. I guess if it's going to be epic, it will be, huh? So, I am mostly done with this piece right here that we've been working on the last, I don't know, at least the last time we worked on it. I need to detail in the guitar right here, and then basically that's honestly about it. And then from there we will pick back up probably if I finish a guitar, because I could spend 3 hours coloring something in like that. If we finish that, I want to pick back up. I'd have to go get it, but I'd like to pick back up the Coffee's Brewing sign. That's in my other watercolor notebook. But I'm sure if I look at Miss May real nice with real big puppy eyes, that I can sweet talk her into going and getting that. Good morning, Sen. Well, good afternoon. Give me one more second. I'll be right back. Switch on a bigger light. I shrank, and now I should be in big and again. Okay. Yeah, it's looking a lot brighter than I had initially anticipated. I was kind of hoping to go for like those washed out, like 1970s, like record player or record cover vibe kind of thing, but I only have the watercolors that I have. So, we do what we can. Oh, if I finish this, I actually got a quarter of the floor in the back room. Heck, I need to mop the floor so bad. I think the other day I ended up like spot cleaning really bad. That's the plan for this. Once we get going. Now we gotta talk about things first. We actually have a bit of a crowd today. Interesting. Wish me luck, I guess. Yeah, but you were baby there, so like, I don't know, you might have been getting some skewed 70s. But anyway, yeah, it's I think we've talked about it, it's an album cover. It'll be like the picture for an album cover of a friend of mine. And he's very like the indie rock kind of thing. So I was like, well, and he sent me like visual inspo and stuff. It was very like the washed out kind of slightly blurry, slightly sepia 1970s pictures and stuff. And I went, well, yeah, I know what that looks like, but I don't know, this blue's a little too blue. This blue's a little too blue for that sepia vibe. But I don't know, I'm still pretty proud of it, I think. So, he likes it, and that's what matters. I'll let you know if folks are interested when that happens. They're like, look at that, that's my art on Spotify. Wow! So, yeah, stretch out the big stretch that Miss May does, like the dropping thing that I do. This is today. This was just a few minutes ago. Wash it with a sepia, and then I gotta like it runs a risk. I don't know. It runs a risk. Maybe I'll ask the resident computer program whiz to make it. The painting needs to be a little more fancy stuff good. And I think that's a pretty easy fix. I just don't use computer programs for art. So. Oh yeah, there's definitely like a lot of pink in the sky at the right times, Nick. But just if it's in the middle of the day, fairly blue kind of thing. What I was. Anyway, big week ahead. It's pretty Venus heavy. I thought that was. I wouldn't do it on the paper. No. Lady Lapine's got her little computer program, so I think it should be a pretty easy little filter sort of thing. I just, again, don't do art programs. I do stuff by hand, so. If I weren't worried about ruining it, I could probably do the sepia wash, but I'm not that confident yet. That would take some more practice. So we've got a couple of actors, big actors this week. Our dear old friend Saturn will be going into Aries on Friday. Good old day before Valentine's Day. We're having a huge shift in Saturn, so don't worry about it. And then Venus here will be going into Pisces. So, and then a lot of the movements that play out this week are just based off of these two facts. Yeah, they're just tools that I do not want to learn. I had a stint of it as a child. I don't know if we're here, I think we talked about it last week. If I find out that something's going out of style, like a manual kind of craft thing, I tend to get mad and like fixate on it, and that is the only thing that I will do. So for instance, right, they told me when I was, I guess, 14 or 15 that cursive writing was a dying art, and so I swore to myself that I was only ever going to write in cursive ever again, and I have by and large stuck true to that. And then when I was about 10 to 12, I did a lot of digital art stuff. And then I realized one day when I was like drawing on a sheet of paper that my hand, when I made a mistake, I reached to do like the undo command, Control Z. And it just made me feel weird. And so I tried to balance the two, digital and traditional art, but then traditional art kind of won over. Especially as like digital art grew in popularity, the more I like hunkered down into traditional stuff. Because I guess I'm stubborn. I don't know. But as it stands now, anytime I try to do anything with digital stuff, I'm like, why does the screen feel bad? They have a notebook tablet now that you slip a actual like sketchbook in, and you can like draw on the paper, and it picks up underneath, like connects to your Bluetooth, and it picks up underneath like strokes and stuff. And so I've thought about doing that. Oh, I haven't denied anything about myself. I always wanted handwriting that looked like calligraphy, and that's usually in cursive anyway. One of my big art inspirations is Yoshitaka Amano from the original Final Fantasy art, and a whole lot of other stuff, and he does watercolor. So. Well. Okay. It can be. Calligraphy? Yeah, that's the stuff with the fountain pens. I like it. It's hard. My handwriting looks fine when I switch over to it. It's just cursive in the ballpoint, but it translates pretty well. I write on paper as much as I can. Yeah. I'm also not really I think I have a bit of an advantage because I don't like taking digital notes when I'm in a lecture or anything like that too. So all throughout college, all of my notes were still on paper and stuff. I think that was mostly still the thing back then, over a decade ago now. But nowadays when I'm at work and stuff, people are like, oh, I just took notes on the computer, and I'm like, how do you do that? Why do you do that? Isn't cursive still kind of a thing over in Eastern Europe's in? Because I know that when I was taking my Russian classes, they were really big on like driving home they will write in cursive. You need to know how to write in cursive or you will look insane if you write in print. So I don't remember much from my Russian class, but by golly, I do still remember how to write Cyrillics in cursive. I would just, I don't know. So the cultures are completely different, right? And then obviously I'll use the Latin alphabet, but I just wonder if cursive might still be more prevalent over there still. Let's just talk about handwriting for a minute first. Oh, bad. Yeah, just first. At least when I was in school, we had to learn to write like that. But nowadays, I just don't. Yeah, and I mean, that makes sense, right? With the prevalence of like tablets and stuff now, they just don't get quite the opportunity, or the emphasis isn't put in so much on like handwriting as it used to be now, because people have to be computer literate and people have to, you know how to operate things and type and such. So it makes sense, but it is a little bit sad. When does guidance become indoctrination? Boy, that's a huge question right there. Did you miss the pretty writing? I mean, that's just a triple sentence, right? But guidance becoming indoctrination. I don't know. I had some epiphanies about that when I was about 13, and then again at 23 and stuff. I guess I'm due for one. If it's every 10 years. Okay. For real though. 100, yay, I am content. Very good. I can make it prettier later, but just a quick scribble. Okay, so, this week. Let's talk about this week. And handwriting is fun. Think about your handwriting questions later. We'll discuss more. That's how I say my notes out too. Yeah. Last note, I guess, about the handwriting. I think I was one of the last few classes that got like cursive taught to me like deliberately. I don't know. I've noticed a lot of people nowadays like look at my handwriting and go, "This is gorgeous. I can't read it." But that also seems to... I've noticed that's a less of an issue here than it is in the US too. I've not had any trouble with the folkstone writing in cursive, like being able to read my handwriting. So I'm wondering if it's just like a technological availability thing, something like that. But anyway, or if some cultures put more emphasis on writing than others, things like that. I don't know. But I wrote my Spanish teacher a note, and she was like, "Oh, your handwriting's really cute." And I went, "Oh, thank you." And that was that. Versus, yeah, I've had folks from the US look at this and go, "I can't read this." Oh. I don't know. It's a discipline thing, and I find it pretty meditative to just sit there and write. Something to do with my hands. All right. Today, Miss Venus here. I'm still in Aquarius. Towards Tuesday, so in 2 more days, she will be in Pisces. She's happy in Pisces, so that's going to be good. But for right now, she's squaring it out with Uranus. Now, this is going to be about, you'll be feeling things for plus or minus 3 days. And it can affect like your things that are things that are Venus themed can be affected by things that are Uranus themed, and obviously vice versa. So we have Venus is like love, romance, abundance, affection, creativity, all things Venus related, right? And then we have Uranus, and the way that I say Uranus is that he likes to flip tables, but the tables that he flips you see coming, right? So obviously this is going to impact where Aquarius and Taurus are in your charts. You can expect things like things about your love life or your social life being affected. Some spending habits can be a bit flipped around just for a few days, or you could have a bit of an epiphany, like maybe I don't want to do this thing this way that I've always done this way for anymore, right? Like just the inspiration for whatever this change may be can be from something external, or you could just wake up in the morning and be like, oh, I want this to change. Right. Venus is in Aquarius, so we're still in like the astrological social justice warrior kind of thing, affectionately speaking. The collective, the technology, the forward thinking, the what's good for the community kind of thing. And then Uranus is in Taurus, which is comfort, stability, creature, your routines, your habits, your luxury, or things of that nature. So normally, these two might butt heads a little bit harder than they ought to this time around, because if they were in other signs, obviously, I would say this. Venus rules Taurus. Venus is at home in Taurus. Uranus rules Aquarius. Uranus is at home in Aquarius. So, since Uranus is in Venus's home and Venus is in Uranus's home, they can kind of talk each other through this square and possibly kind of blur the edges, make it a little bit softer, not quite so sharp. And or if those experiences are that sharp, it can like be for the better outcome, right? It's not just, and it never really is with Uranus, it's not just flipping tables to cause chaos for the sake of causing chaos. It's usually for like, I need to take something away from you, I need to turn something around so that you get onto the path you need to be. And so, like, I would expect it to ultimately be for the better, but it might, just since they're in each other's home, and they can have that, like, the can with the string in the middle telephone line between each other to, like, kind of figure out how to navigate each other's realms. I expect that the impact of the full impact, like the painful, prickly side of a square should be less. So this is going to be a few days. Venus is at 27 degrees. Taurus is at 27 degrees, they're 9 degrees apart. That is today. A couple of days around it, you might have started feeling something yesterday, maybe you'll feel something tomorrow. Tomorrow, Venus, you can rebel out of love. Yeah. So, definitely. So, just kind of review things, and then if you feel prompted to make a big change, good old Uranus might be telling you it's time to make that change, and it may be for the better. Oh, I don't answer questions! Miss May, what's the question? I got it. Oh, okay. It's not that big a deal. It's kind of funny. You just changed mine to questions answered 0 out of 0.
I want to get you set up here.
My own bubble? Oh, that's right there? Oh man, that's right there. I'm sorry. Okay. So, Venus square, next few days. Tomorrow, Monday, she will be making this nice little sextile. Where her line is here. She will be sextiling. She's already probably making a nice weak kind of sextile to Saturn. This will be for a few days also because Venus is not the moon. She does not change sign every 2 days. No, you've 0 out of 0. I do not answer questions, I only tell you. Yeah, we're gonna have to figure something out. So it's the both of us. I'm happy to stay on her channel just to keep all things like of a similar vein together, but maybe like a different like OBS kind of profile or something like that to set up. Oh, that's what you mean? Okay, yeah. So we might just have to make a different streaming profile on the computer that we use to stream. Questions out of 0 out of 0. Ask me nothing. Instead of AMA, it's AMN. Anyway, so Monday, Venus is sextiling Saturn. Again, this is like a really nice lead up to Valentine's Day. Saturn's gonna throw a wrench in plans, but you know, the Venus stuff has been really fun. Venus is sextiling Saturn. Money decisions are going to be easy. Again, think about the things that Venus rules, you know, like your finances, or there's some creativity in there, the things that you make, the romance, the abundance, things of that nature. So think about the Venus themes. Saturn is discipline and structure and what have you. And when they're sextiling, it's not as free, open of a communication as if they were like trining. But remember what I said, 1 question equals 1 ban. But do I ban a random person? I expect nothing less from Sid. Sorry, I swallowed my coffee wrong. Okay. So, with trines, it's an automatic open communication. The problem with this is they work well together, but there is no off switch. Blind fire. I think we need more people in the chat than that, though. Because at this point, keep the stakes high. I think at this point right now, it's just our core group, so I'd feel bad banning any of you. Anyway, with the sextile, with trines, the communication is always open. Things flow easily back and forth. They work really well together. Brings out kind of the best of both planets when they're working together in that way. With a sextile, but then again, it can also, with the trine, get overwhelming because there is no off switch, right? With the sextile, you have to work. You have to set the intention to make it work, right? You have to be deliberate about your course of action. But they are in complementary elements. They are, you know, close enough to work together. And if you tap into them with a sextile, you will usually get some rewards. It is an easy aspect. And the bonus, instead of all of the chaos that a trine can bring without the off switch, the bonus with the sextile is there is an off switch. So, if you had, I don't know, Jupiter here is trining the moon, right? Jupiter is abundance and expansion and things of that ilk. The moon is your emotional realm, basically, right? Childhood emotions, things of that nature. There is no off switch, so yes, it can expand. You can have like little epiphanies about your feelings and such. You can grow and develop, and your emotions can lead you to somewhere greater. But also, if it's too watery like it is right now, you've got Cancer and Scorpio right here. Jupiter is in retrograde, Scorpio and the moon does not play nicely in Scorpio. This can get explosive, right? You're saying you may get another baddie this Valentine's. Wait, that's a question. Into the void I go. I mean, go have a nice and respectful picnic at a cemetery, and I'm saying that that's not out of the realm of possibility. So, I would go to the cemetery on Valentine's Day. That sounds great, as the resident goth of this household. So, anyway, so Saturn and Venus sextiling, and if they were trining, it would be like you can access all of your love and abundance and wealth and what have you with discipline and patience and perseverance, but then it can backfire. Too much of a good thing, right? With the sextile, if you decide, you can apply a little bit of extra discipline to your money and your love and such, and that little bit of discipline can go a long way, right? Like the payoff can. So keep it practical with your money decisions. It's a good opportunity for networking. You might, especially like with older folks, you might meet somebody that knows somebody that, you know, can help you out in a certain situation. Or they might have like career advice or some kind of life advice or relationship advice that you need. Again, this is Venus and Saturn, so they're not it's not moving as fast as the moon, so you might feel it for a day or two. You might be feeling a little more put together than usual. God knows that I could use that right now. And it's just kind of a good time for like any minor career steps that you want to take, like, or planning out like future steps for your career, or that business talk that you and I need to have, Miss May. You'll be grounded, you'll be practical, you'll be able to make like solid plans that can lead to tangible results related to Venus topics. My note here says it's a good chance to get a few last ducks in a row before Saturn heads into Aries later this week too. So on Tuesday, Venus continues to be the star of this show this week because she is moving into Pisces. And Venus loves being in Pisces. Venus is exalted in Pisces. And if you think about Piscean themes, and if you think about Venus themes, it kind of makes sense. She's exalted in the sign, she is affectionate here, she is generous here, but she can also be a little bit hard to reach. Because she has all of the stuff that she wants. Because Venus, or Pisces will tell you, like, give you goals, give you dreams, give you, you know, ideals that you want to strive for, but Pisces is not great at articulation. So with Venus here, you can have all of these dreams and aspirations and such, but it might be hard to put them into words. She'll be joining Mercury in Pisces. We'll go back and talk about him a little bit in Pisces later. He's not particularly happy in Pisces. Like, I think this is honestly the sign of his fall, if I remember right, which is just where you're at your weakest. But Mercury is the closest thing to a neutral sign that there is. It's almost like he's still here, yeah. But Mercury is the closest thing to a neutral sign as there is. So while there are some big detriments to Mercury being in Pisces, I also found when I was doing the research a lot of good. Venus going to do interpretive dance on February, dancing with the fishes. Well, she's not going to be dancing with fishes. Well, actually, I get the joke now. You're right. She is dancing with the fishes, but not in the mobster way. So she'll be in Pisces from February 2nd. Nope, February 10th, my bad. Through March 6th. So with Mercury in Pisces, which again we'll talk about a little bit more later, she's gonna keep on adding to this dreamy and romantic vibe, I guess, to the way that you're thinking, the way that you're feeling your things. I am going to assume at some point, yes, this has to happen. Mercury's going to be in Pisces for a long time because he's going to go retrograde in a couple of weeks. Venus is going to surpass him at some point, so they will be conjunct. Venus and Mercury conjuncts are sweet. But this will add to like more of the illusory, the dreamy, the creative, the romance. So we're getting our dose. We're coming out of this big collective rebel period and getting into like dreamy, sweet. This is the break before everything goes into Aries, right? Venus is going to be just vibes, but it'll be good vibes. Venus does love Pisces, so it's good for art projects. If you want a practical application, if there's like an art project, like if you do music, if you draw, if you write, it would be an excellent time to like tap into your creative while she's in here through March. I know that I've got some story plots that still have a few big holes, and I have been getting fodder with which to possibly work towards filling them. So while she's here, while Mercury's here, I really want to like tap into that and see if I can fill in those holes so I can actually get started on writing that story. Because while Venus works on vibes, I am not the greatest at working on vibes. Like, I can work a little bit off of a vibe, but I do need an outline. So I'm hoping I can use this time to like work on that outline. Keep it pretty vibesy. I can fill in the details later, right? But I need a few more points to hit before that thing's done. So, artsy projects, get as deep into those feelings as you need to. Mostly questions and brainstorms. This is a really good time for those questions and brainstorms, especially with both of them in here right now. And then we're gonna have this Pisces little stellium here pretty soon. We've got Saturn will be gone, but we'll have Mercury, Venus, the Sun, and I assume Mars will catch up, but I'm not sure. But it'll at least be those three in here all at the same time. So artsy projects, get deep in those feelings while you do. The feelings, you can work on writing them into words later. You can work on drawing them into images later, but feel the feelings and figure out a way to remember what those feelings feel like so that when it's a more articulate time period, you can start putting those things into words. You can start like making more solid images if you need to. Now, if you do like abstract art, just go ham, just go have fun. Like, this is great. As a collective, as an individual, there'll be a bit of an up in people's compassion, their empathy and kindness, and I think it's really necessary right now with the last few weeks that everybody's been having. But there's also a pretty big chance, and so keep an eye out, right? Neptune, Pisces, you kind of have to go deep. You have to like keep yourself intentionally grounded. You have to find like an anchor point, basically, or you run a pretty solid risk of getting lost in like illusions or fantasies or wishful thinking and stuff like that, right? So less worried about it for the more rational folks, but like if you're daydreaming, just be careful, right? There's a chance to get lost in fantasy. My notes that I wrote said, remember to check in with yourself, make sure the rose-colored haze you might be getting from everything being in Pisces doesn't become a thick fog you can't navigate, right? Don't get too lost. Have a tether. If you get lost, have that tether to pull yourself back to where you remember. Check in with yourself. Things become more intuitive, less rational. So your spending, relationship matters may become more intuitive, less rational, less logic. Can't logic them away. It's a good time. Venus is happy here, but don't put people on pedestals. Remember not to put people on pedestals. With money, some intuitive spending makes sense. I've been spending a little bit more lately to kind of prepare for things as I see fit. But don't be careful with your impulse purchases. Every time I wake up now, I'm either taking lines or I would try drawing those out if you can, Nick. Like, even if it's just like pencil scratches on a sheet of paper. If it's a code, it'd be fun to see where that goes. So yeah, be careful not to get too impractical, but also like play in the dream space, right? Remember to have fun. That's the big thing that I want to drive home, because everybody's like, oh, you're gonna get lost, but like remember to have fun with it, right? As long as you're aware that you're getting trapped in a fog, have a good time, right? Like if you have your tether, if you know how to come back down, go, right? Let's see. Finances, like yes, you will defer to intuition on money and relationship matters. Finances, relationships can improve if, and I quoted this from somewhere, if we connect with our otherworldly talents, imagination, our desire to heal and serve, or sense of mission. Personal growth, and that was the end quote. Professional growth comes from kindness and heart, but remember to practice your boundaries. I keep dreaming that I'm in debt, so will do. I wish mine was a dream. Taxes, you keep getting bothered by that. I haven't even started that yet. I'm just gonna wait until the end of February to deal with that, because there's a lot of paperwork I need to do, and I'll have more time to focus on it in March. Those with money or debt. No, it's your debt. That's the world. Yeah. It does. I don't know for quite how much longer with some of the alignments we have going up, but, you know, for now, yeah, it does. So one last note about Venus going to Pisces that I have. Oh, here's a fun one, and Nick, I think you'll appreciate this one in particular. I want everybody, right? But I want you to look for unusual art that speaks to you, especially loudly during this period. From February 10th to March 6th, I want you to find weird shit that you like a lot. I want everybody to do that, but I figure Nick will like this task in particular. Look for weird stuff that speaks to you. It can be pictures, it can be writing, it can be poetry, it can be music. Poetry is writing, right? It can be whatever, but like look for weird art that makes you happy, that inspires you, that gives you a strong feeling of something. Even if it's like, there was something I read about an art teacher who had a student that he didn't like his art, but it was only ambivalent. It was like the best life advice that this kid had ever gotten in art school or something, right? And the art teacher said, I don't like it, but I need to hate it. If you're gonna make it to where I don't like it, I need to actually hate it. I need to not just not like it. And so that taught the kid to like really lean in into what made him distinct, into what made him like, or made their art like really individual. So look for that. Look for things that you either love because it's so unusual, look for things that you hate because it's so unusual. Like not just, this isn't my style, I need you to like have a visceral reaction. And I want to see it, so you can post it in the Discord. More on Tuesday. So this is from Tuesday until March 6th. There's some angles that we want to worry about. Not worry, but like keep in mind when I send you an altered house. Prettier. We can talk about it. We can talk about it. Can't unfortunately do too much for on the house, but we can talk about it. Anyway, on Tuesday, Venus, to add more to the Piscean flair, right? Can't stand his art. Exactly. I want you to find stuff that makes you feel big like that. Like, not just bad art, but like good art that you just don't like, right? Or good art that you love. I just need it to be weird. Or like, I don't know why it speaks to me so strongly, but it does. This is a really good time period for that, right? So like, what is it? The poet E.E. Cummings, he's very polarizing. Salvador Dali is very polarizing. Picasso is very polarizing. Like, find what is polarizing to you. On Tuesday too, Venus is sextiling Neptune. So we're doing that same meetup here of Venus, going to Neptune here, doing this pretty little sextile. Comes with an off switch. But we have like double Pisces or double Neptune hitting Venus. Extra dreamy for a few days. Give it some Aries flair for, a little bit of extra flavor. Like more, for this window I would say like, be the one to make the weird art for those couple of days, right? It could be good. On this same day, Tuesday, Mercury will be squaring our girl Lilith right here. So we have Mercury squaring Lilith. This one's a more minor thing, because Lilith is just a point, not an actual planet. But I can see a couple of issues with like some intense emotions that might be, and it goes with everything being in Pisces too, right? It can be hard to articulate those intense emotions. They might kind of come up out of nowhere. Let's see. There's room for some misunderstandings. You might feel the urge to like repress feelings if they're like particularly big. Watch out a little bit for some manipulative behavior. Careful not to get distracted. But if you leverage it to your advantage, because squares always have a payoff, this can kind of strengthen. This is like your taboo kind of desires, your big like extra vibe, I guess. And then Mercury's like your thoughts and your rationality and stuff. So there can be like an element of tying together your head and your heart, right? That one shouldn't last but for a day or two. Just be aware that if you have like a couple of emotional spikes, that might be what's going on. Or if you have a big feeling that you really struggle to articulate, like everything is going into Pisces, so that is kind of a given, but Lilith might drive it a bit further home. Yes, communication. There was a thing, I think it was before you came, Nick, before we had our no third person question rules when Miss May first started. A lot of the time they would be like, oh, how does so-and-so feel about me? Or what is this person thinking about me? Or can I fix this relationship? And Miss May would like just kind of like zoom in on her VTuber model, like on the rabbit, and just be like, you need to communicate. You need to talk to people. You need to articulate your feelings, and the other person needs to talk to them. So like it became like a bit of a like OG meme of just like zooming way in on Miss May's face and just communicate. That was like, I had like this sticker design in my head for merch, and it was just zoomed in on Miss May's face, and the text underneath it was like, communicate. Now, so that's Monday and Tuesday, and today. Is that, well, I don't know. It's been nice not to have to deal with that level of third person question, though. Like, just for her well-being and my sanity, right? Because, God love them, I had some thoughts about some of these things. Some of the questions that these people brought, I was just like, sounds like you need to dump somebody, but you can't quite say that, right? So, anyway, yeah, like, just if you think they're bad now, you should have seen them before. Anyway, so that's Monday through Wednesday. On Thursday, our boy Mars will be in conjunct with Jupiter, which is like just an awkward angle where they just don't really play nicely. It's not quite a square. It's not quite an opposition. It's not a trine. They're not incompatible signs. It's 130 degrees. It's something, but like they're not incompatible signs. They're just, Jupiter's already in retrograde. It's just time. You call it like in conjunct, or you can call it, I think, twin cut or something. In conjunct's easy for me to remember. But it's this symbol, if you ever see it on anything. Looks like a K, but on its stomach. Anyway, it'll be a couple of days of this. Just, I'm always ready to say dump them. Yes, you and me both, son. You and me both. Jupiter's in retrograde. Aries is a hot-headed little drive, ambition, war. Will throw hands for what's right, especially in Aquarius here. So you might be feeling a little hot-headed around a couple of days around Thursday. Again, with the Lilith squaring Mercury, this going in conjunct with Jupiter, Mars, and Cancer, or Mars and Jupiter here. With Venus coming in and getting things, it just might be a little bit hazy. You might be a little more reactionary. So just kind of be careful not to throw too many hands. Retrograde. Okay, so you have all of these planets. Generally speaking, the urge, or the way that this chart works is that planets tend to move counterclockwise, right? So to go forward, you're going this way. When a planet retrogrades, like Jupiter here, it means that they go for a determined amount of time backwards in the chart. And I don't know the mathematical quite reason behind it, but it's just something to do with like the planetary movements and like up in the sky and stuff, right? So Jupiter's been in retrograde for a few months. I think when he started, he was like somewhere over here in Cancer. He's not much longer to be in retrograde, and when he comes out of retrograde, he will come and retrace his steps and proceed to keep going forward until the next retrograde. The heart does not seek violence. Not all Arieses are violent. Mars is the planet, like the leader planet of Aries, like the is it? Not the leader planet, what is it called? Aries is ruled by Mars. There we go, that's what I wanted to say. Aries is ruled by Mars. But yeah, it's opposite for a moment, for some amount of time. We'll talk about Mars and Aries some more. But yeah, retrogrades are like it's opposite for a moment. It's like, what is, if things going forward is, like outwardly inspired, outwardly affected, you get your input, and then like from something from the outside, like from an outside source, you process it and you go forward that way. A retrograde flips it, and whatever that planet is dominant over, it like most of the input comes from within, basically, right? It's like a self-reflective period for said planet's themes, basically, right? Mercury retrograde is the most infamous. Mercury moves the fastest in the chart, so there's like 2, 3, 4 retrogrades every year for Mercury. And when things go in retrograde, again, things become more internal, or they can get a little bit fuzzier, like it can kind of like lose its meaning a little bit, a little more prone to get to their shadowy features and stuff. So with Mercury, when it goes into retrograde, it can be things like miscommunications, or you have internal like thought processes that give you revelations about something that you need to know about. But Mercury also rules things like, with Uranus, Mercury rules things like technology and such too, right? So things can, like communication technology specifically. So things are prone to breaking down, or you might have to make a few preventative fixes or things like that, right? You do live an introvert. I know plenty of introverted Arieses. So basically that's a retrograde. As far as Aries goes, you do not have to seek violence to be an Aries. You strike me as having a fairly independent soul, and that in and of itself is very Aries. Willing to break mold, willing to step into something. You seem to seek a lot of novel experiences in the search for community, but you've also said specifically that communities can drain you and things of that nature. A lack of communication is a cause of much friction. Exactly. So Mercury retrograde, if you've had any lapses in that communication, that's when it will come to sight, basically. But yeah, I can see a lot of Aries just based off the kinds of things, not in the war, the super ultra dominant type, but just the free spirit kind of vibe. You do what you want, you go by the beat of your own drum. That's extremely Aries as well. So, with Mars in conjunct Jupiter retrograde, if you do have a hot-headed streak, if you do have a few buttons that are ending up pressed with this square here, with this square here, with in conjunct all kind of happening around a few days, things might be a little bit, not necessarily explosive, but you might have some big feelings. Just a quick little note, fighting spirit, don't throw hands, right? You might be extra passionate about something, you might be kind of frustrated with something, you might want to do something. And welcome to do it. This is just a roadmap, right? You're welcome to do it, but you need to stop and consider what you want to say, especially with Mars here and Mercury. You might just be feeling mad, right? And you don't know why you're feeling mad. You need to sit down. You need to make yourself sit down, and you need to think about, and you need to articulate those feelings, right? So you get mad, if you get just a big feeling that you're ready to explode about, don't pick a fight. Take a time out. Put yourself in timeout. That's what I tend to do when I feel too big, is I will literally go, I need to put myself in timeout for a little while, and I will go sit down, and I will go feel things out, and I will find words, and then I will come back. Right. So put yourself in a timeout if you need to, find your words, and then go from there. Some of us need to be fools to explore the dark. One of my muses is who taught us to be afraid of the dark. That's the answer. And I would say, again, very Aries behavior. It's a fire sign. It's the start of the zodiac. You're willing to go straight into the dark because your fire will give you the light that you need. right? More on Thursday, because Mercury's a little speedy fella. He's going to go conjunct here with the North Node. Got Mercury here. Oh, thank you. Confetti time. Let's see if we can see these little notes around the confetti. So North Node conjunct Mercury also on Thursday. It's going in Pisces. Obviously, because these are both in Pisces. I wrote encounters and events can feel fated and significant to growth. So if something happens around this time, which is Thursday, you can get some new information or some realizations that can like redirect or confirm the path that you're choosing. The ghost is here to talk about finding your path, following your true calling. You can look for some signs, listen to the universe. It'd be a good time for your meditation. Look for symbolism in your walk, see if anything's trying to reach out for you. Listen to your conversations a little extra closely, see if you get any confirmation or rejection about the things that you're thinking. Like for your future goals, your future progress, the North Node is where we are walking towards, right? Life path, big, right? So if they go conjunct, yeah, just listen for like communication that might confirm or deny the path that you're on currently, right? Also on Thursday, another minor connection. There will be a sextile between Chiron and the Sun on Thursday for a day or two. There wasn't a whole lot on this. This one's kind of a minor one, but I wanted to note it anyway. Chiron is the wounded healer and the Sun is basically the core, right? If we put a spotlight on the wounded healer, he's still a healer, but he is also still wounded. So you might feel a bit, especially with everything like being in, I would say with Aquarius and Aries, if Aquarius is the collective, Aries is one of the individuals, you might feel a bit of a drive to step in and with something, right? But you might also feel a little self-conscious about something, because something might be triggering the sun, a sun aspect of you, but also it could be something that you know a lot about actually, and you might just be a little bit insecure about it or something, and just work through it. You might feel the compulsion to help somebody, or you might feel a little self-conscious. It won't last. It's it's the sun. It's going to go pretty quickly, but for a day or two. Step in, help heal if you need to, and if you feel embarrassed about something, know that that too shall probably pass. God, this is conjuncting my natal Chiron to the degree. I'm sorry. How are you feeling? Because that's going to be a lot. Has anything changed? What is going on with that? I'm so curious. This too shall pass, but I can't imagine that this feels particularly good. I know that and it goes with just the fixed signs, my Mercury is at, my personal Mercury is at 27 degrees of Leo. So I have this sextile, well not sextile, this square happening. But not quite a conjunction. Okay, so that's Thursday. On Friday, we've had a nice little lovely week of Venus. On Friday, this is the day. This isn't the day that these two go conjunct yet, but this is the day that Saturn goes into Aries. We've been talking about it. Saturn goes into Aries this Friday. Obviously the day before Valentine's Day. I don't even know anymore. I also have a Pisces Sun, Venus, Lilith, and Virgo. Oh, you've got a lot of mutable going on. I would honestly, once this passes, I think you're going to be okay with everything moving out of Pisces. Might be rough for a little bit longer, but Uranus is coming out of Taurus in April. going into Gemini. So hopefully. Pluto squaring Pluto at the moment. Good golly. Yeah, this has been the vibe of 2026 so far. It's just everything, right? Uranus, the planet, is blamed for all this dense energy. Here's my... It's been a heck of a lot. Amen. Uranus, the planet, is blamed for all this dense energy. It's my second planet, first being Gaia. Uranus does not like being in Taurus. So he's been in here for 7 or 8 years. Taurus rules like wealth, luxury, stability, things of that nature. Uranus rules technology, upheaval, chaos, for the better, right? But like, so, good golly. Hang on, just keep on hanging on. With Taurus and Uranus, this has been causing things like the market volatility I would lean on, or I would point fingers at, because again, like, Uranus makes ups and downs for the better. But if Taurus is stability and comfort, and Uranus likes big change real fast, obviously these two don't play very well together, right? He's hating capitalism. I know, like, yeah. Uranus is the ruler of, or at least the modern ruler of Aquarius. So, all of the Aquarius themes, look at Uranus for that. Exactly. Think of Aquarius energy or lightning. Exactly. So, big change, big upheaval. And this good old Taurus is a fixed sign that does not like change, does not like upheaval, so they do not play nicely. So things like market volatility that's been going on, things like the crazy inflation that's been going on in a lot of things, the ups and downs that we've had, like, economically over the last 7 or 8 years. Yeah, this could be Uranus. Now, a lot of the... I love astrology. Me too. I'm still not a professional or anything, but I like going through all of it. I like learning, and this has been a really good way to, like, force me to learn and talk about people. So, I don't know. I'm not knocking myself. A bull in a china shop. Or the china in a... Oh, that doesn't quite work, but yes, a bull in a china shop. That's a good way to put it. A bull in a china shop that is run by a very stubborn bull. I don't know. Anyway, so, yeah, he's been tearing it up. And then we're in, like, these final degrees. So, Nick, you can really feel whatever loose ends are still dangling from Uranus being in Taurus. Things are going to start getting tied up, and with that might mean a lot more upheaval in the next few months now that she's stationed direct. So, it's a handful. We can do it. He'll be in here in April. Just hang on until April. And Uranus likes Gemini. I think the issues with the market is mostly designed by... Yeah, no, it is. Like, that's definitely part of it. But again, this isn't like, I don't view astrology as a religion. I just kind of see it as a roadmap. And I can definitely see, if I look back, things that make sense as following the roadmap. Wish I had more people to talk about it with. I tell all my friends stuff all the time. Just kindly listen and pretend to understand me, God. It's been nice, at least, because of my friend group. They have started coming to me and being like, is there something going on in the stars to make me feel this way? And I have, like, a little notebook with all of, like, my closest friends' charts and stuff in there. And I can look at it and, like, answer them. But yeah, sometimes it's a little excessive, because I'll just be like, they'll be, like, complaining to me about something. I'm like, well, actually, there's a reason for that. You're just, like, picking up my metaphorical glasses and sniffing. But, some people receive it better than others. That's me for sure. No idea what I'm doing here, but also activity. Yeah. No, I don't see it. I don't know. And then, like, with people's charts, like, yeah, you could have people born on the exact same second or something like that. I don't think that that's quite, like, it'd be fewer than you think, right? But, like, people can have very similar charts and like take those charts and the implications that come with them and take them down very different paths, right? Like Taurus is luxury and stability, so you could go, I don't know, you could sell things in an antique shop, like luxury and stability, right? Like really old, really stable things that'll last you a lifetime. Or you could go down like the wealth luxury kind of route and get into like, I don't know, the more notoriously expensive careers, like, you know, things that bring you that stability. It's a tool of reflection. Yeah, it's a tool of reflection. That's a good way to put it. It just, you have to think about it. It's not going to be one-to-one for not one-to-one. It's not going to be the same application for everybody. It's going to impact you differently. But when you have what you know about it, when you have the gist, you can like make it all kind of make sense. It's just been a handy little roadmap since I put into it. Tell them what I see, but not really, because probably if I don't think I'm crazy. Well, that could be your test, Sprinkle. Is like, how crazy does he think you are? Does he believe you? Because if he does, that might be a keeper, especially with things moving into Pisces right now. I don't know. I'd say maybe dip your toe in there a little bit. Just a little bit. Maybe talk about your big three or your Venus sign or whatever. Just like pick one or two things. Focus on like the biggest ones. And just do a test run. So, yeah, Friday is our big day. This is Saturn going into Aries. Lovely that it's the day before Valentine's Day. I don't know. That's it. Yes, exactly. I get frustrated because I go, oh, I have this and this is happening to this sign, so that means that this should be affecting me through ways of, like, I was like, I might be feeling this way, I might be feeling that way, I might do this, I might do that. I get frustrated because I'm like, okay, so Aries is my 11th house, which is like communication and technology and stuff. Great, cool. So Neptune is in Aries, Saturn is going into Aries, and that means that I might be having some big changes with community or big changes with the use of technology, big things like that, right? And I'm like, cool. So I kind of have this gist. And then I get frustrated because I don't know exactly how it's going to happen. So when it goes, Neptune goes into Aries, it means that this could happen. And I go, cool. But what I want is Neptune goes into Aries, which means that this can happen, and this means that little Luna will react this way. And that just doesn't happen, right? That's a crystal ball, that's not a roadmap. But I feel like knowing the 8th of Mercury, yeah. Humanity is a mess. People call me weird. I say thank you for the compliment. What's normal for being normal? I don't know. Yeah. That's good to be. That's good to go by the beat of your own drum. A lot about astrology. It's not all of what I say. Yeah, like I said, just pick one or two things, maybe. Valentine's Day is coming up. Venus is making a lot of big, like, positive aspects. I'd say try something before the 13th, maybe. Just for grins. Just a little bit. Just a sampler. See how he feels. So, on the 13th, we're going into Aries again. Did he go into Aries? I think he went into Aries earlier last year, just for like a couple of weeks before he retrograded back into Pisces. But this is the big shift where he stays. Saturn is staying into Aries for like 2.5 years. I think the dates, yeah, the 13th through April 12th, 2020. Yeah, absolutely. So Saturn is a slow mover. He cycles every 30 some odd years. And with him being in Aries, he hasn't been here since it was 96 through 99. So right before Y2K. Yeah. Aries, what will be present, failed anticipations, where just be aware of it now. Yeah, just do what you want. Just go by your own rhythm, right? Talking to the phone, telling them that of course, yes, of course this would happen now. I have had so much going on with things about to hit my 10th house. It has been insane. But yeah, so last time that Saturn was in Aries was from 1996 through 1999. Then we had the big upheaval genre switch from like your 90s into like your Y2K themes, right? So it's gonna be, maybe not, obviously it's not gonna be a complete one-to-one for that, but like just to kind of give you the vibe, I guess, the vibe switch. What to expect, my notes say here. So with Saturn going into Aries, the focus is going to be on themes of like, again, because you remember Aries is independence, self-sufficiency, being the first, taking the charge, going for it. Saturn is discipline, rules, things of that ilk, right? Mine, I am Virgo, Sun, Gemini rising, and Scorpio moon, so I'm very Mercury dominant. Mercury's my boy. Saturn's getting his time in the sun, and I'm so happy for him, but at the end of the day, I'm just like, Saturn, you're fine. I'm fine with you. You're good, we're good, but Mercury's my homeboy. And then Sun is the other resident Gemini rising. So now we have Saturn shifting here. Pisces is a little even more out of the woods here, and this spreads to all 4 of the mutable signs. So Pisces, Gemini, Virgo, and Sag. Mutables are getting their time to just breathe, because Neptune was in Pisces from like 2011 until just recently. Saturn has been in here since 2023. So I read something that said that should be able to finally catch our breath and see how far we've come. And now we're kind of just passing this baton onto the cardinal signs. So, good luck. It's not that bad. Like it is, it's stressful, but coming out of the other side has been really enlightening. I was still fairly young back in 2011, but even then, like I can just see, like, now that I know more about transits and stuff relative to what I did back then, I can like really see how things like panned out the way that they did. So it might get heavy for a while, Cardinals, and that's Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. If they're in your big 3, if you've got any of the major personal planets in those signs. But you will get stronger, you will get sharper, you will know thyself a little bit better, and you will come out over the other side very well. Yeah, let the Cardinals have it. My biggest concern is that my Venus is in Libra at a pretty early angle, or a pretty early degree, so I might have a bit of a crunch for the next few months, but that's fine. Honestly, that's fine. Relative to the last 14, 15 years, I'm like, I can take a couple of weeks. I can do it, that's fine. So, yeah, you'll come out stronger, you'll come out sharper. Everybody's been worried, and I am, and we talked about this a little bit before. We've talked about this before. In a couple of weeks, these two right here are going to go conjunct, and these two are the primary. They're not like absolutely enemies, right? Like, because it's astrology. It's not that deep, right? But they don't play particularly nicely together. They are the two main rivals, is Saturn and Neptune. And I mean, if you think of their themes, it makes sense, right? So Saturn is discipline, boundaries, like self-discipline, boundaries, time management, strict rules, things like that. And Neptune is dreams and illusions and fantasies and, intuition and, like, so these two don't exactly play particularly nicely together. And they are going to go conjunct at 0 degrees Aries. The last time they went conjunct was in 1989. That was over in Capricorn here. That kind of coincided with like the fall of the Berlin Wall and a few other things. So this tends to signify some kind of big regime change. A big change for both the collective and the individual. I think intuition is a skill you can hone, Nick. And I think it is gender non-specific. Maybe certain body folks have an advantage, but I think a lot of it is conditioning and not being allowed to feel your feelings. So take with that as you see fit. But I think if you wanted to develop a sense of intuition, you would be able. I hate boundaries. I'm a big fan, but I got that Virgo streak, so now, am I great at keeping them? No, not really, but I do enjoy a boundary. So, within reason, right? If they're just arbitrary, I get mad. But anyway, if they don't make sense, which makes sense coming. So, these two are going to go conjunct in a couple of weeks. For now, they're just creeping up together. Eventually, Saturn will overtake Neptune. There's been a lot of, like, doom and gloom in the pop astrology from this. They're going to go conjunct at 0 degrees Aries, which is, like, the very first degree of the zodiac. Been a lot of doom and gloom and scary things being said about it, and it can be scary for a while. I'm not going to, like, negate that, but I think something really good, ultimately, is going to come out of this. Right? So, we'll work with Hikari and see about having her help you with your intuition to know when to have those boundaries, right? So, instead of wasting your time with every single person, you can, like, check in with yourself and go, does this person feel like they will be receptive to my empathy, right? And just kind of, like, learn to flex the intuition muscle that way. And yeah, Hikari, I think it would be a fun task for her. Anyway, there's been a lot of doom and gloom with these two going into Aries. But I think since it's happening where it is, and since Saturn will overtake Neptune will be in Aries for a lot longer, but I really like that Saturn is going to overtake Neptune here instead of just kind of letting him free float. Because this is going to give you, over the next 2.5 years, it's going to give the groundwork, like the sturdy foundation for Neptune to dream and build upon, right? Like, Saturn is going to set down the foundation that we will need to dream and improve and develop with Neptune. As it comes to astrology, I'm just like, I'm trying. I hope the meal is good. So we'll talk more again about Neptune conjunct Saturn later, but that's kind of how I've been seeing things with that. So if we're just talking about the Saturn aspect of Saturn in Aries, and I'm not bringing Neptune into it, right? Like, if we're just taking the two apart and we're just talking about those two. He hasn't been here since the late 90s. This is letting the immutables breathe, because we've had Neptune and Saturn in Pisces. The cardinals might be starting to feel a crunch as a collective. I wanted to remind everybody that the last, like, 27 to 30 degrees, or 27 to 29, and then 1 to 3 degrees, like the very start and the very end of a planet being in a sign, tends to be the hardest. So we were talking a second ago, Sprinkle, about Uranus being right on top of something of yours. At the last degrees, it's going to feel extra chaotic right now, right? Like, because we're tying up loose ends of being in the sign. We're about to leave. We have to finish. Oh God, the deadline's coming up. I still have so much to write. When does Saturn in yours conjunct at 0 degrees of Aries? That is the 20th. I think the 20th of February. Now, with as big as this one is, I think we will start feeling it way sooner. But yeah, I think they go conjunct, like, actually, like, on top of each other, conjunct on the 20th. And that'll be coming right off the heels of, like, the 17th, which is the first solar eclipse in Aquarius, and the Lunar New Year, so we'll be in the year of the Fire Horse. Everybody's like, oh, that's go, go, go. And then I read something recently that was like, a horse knows when to go and when to stay still. That's part of the power. So that also gave me a little bit of reassurance. But yeah, so on the 20th of February, these two are going conjunct. So that means we will talk about them next week pretty closely. So if we just take Neptune out of the picture for a minute and just talk about Saturn and Aries, I think that it's gonna give us the groundwork for Neptune to build. We've had, with these two being in Pisces for so long, there was a big blur of boundaries, and then we also really sunk into ourselves and learned how to take care of ourselves. We thought we made it the boundaries that we needed. Maybe we let people roll over us. Maybe we went too far and made too many boundaries. We are on a coast, but we'll see. I'm at least fairly high up, so that should help. But anyway, yeah, so that'll be big on the 20th, and we'll talk about it more. But anyway, so Saturn's going to give us the foundation, and then Neptune will build. But if we're just talking about Saturn alone, over the last 2.5 years, we've learned to how to identify and feel our feelings, make boundaries, and live our truth and whatnot. Pisces has been very good at teaching us with Saturn here what we need to do to take care of ourselves. But we may have gone too far, we may not have gone far enough. There was something that I heard, and I talked about this before, about finding what your real no is and sticking with it, especially with everything going into Aries. There's going to be an Aries stellium in April that might be a lot. It might be a little bit explosive. So it'll be really good to stick to your truths. So exactly. Sowing the seeds of community. Yeah, sowing the seeds. So this is a big lesson in how far is too far when it comes to, right? So as a collective, we kind of blurred the boundaries. Now we're redefining ourselves as individuals, right? So Pisces was good for us learning what we needed to know about ourselves, like self-care and, boundaries. I keep saying that, but Saturn in Aries, it might show us where we've gone too far. And we've talked about it before. Find your real no. Check in with the behaviors that may be less boundary and more self-centered. With everything getting dissolved over the last couple of years, those who had big individual personalities around that may have gotten a little more revered. There was a big window for there was a big spiritual movement with Neptune and Pisces. But obviously the shadow side of that could be things like cults and buying into things that you didn't need to. And Saturn is kind of stepping in now here and saying, no. We need to find out what's good about being an individual and what is self-centered, right? Hey, Mary. So for the next 2.5 years, I can see a lot of those individuals, and you can kind of already see it playing out with a lot of the news. The individuals who were formerly revered are starting to come off of their pedestals, right? And we learn how to be our own person again instead of just following somebody. So that's a big lesson for Saturn. It's finding yourself and sticking to your truth with Aries, right? Now the shadowy side of that again is being too individualistic, the drive to go live in the woods and be completely self-reliant and all of that sort of stuff, right? Especially with Neptune in here too. But a lot of the moral of Saturn and Aries is going to be finding the healthy balance between being a collective and being an individual. What is it? Yeah, with everything getting dissolved over the last couple of years in Pisces, those who had big individualistic personalities were more revered. But now everyone else is feeling that independence too, so the me first attitude will gradually become, and I read this somewhere and I loved it, so those with the me first attitude will gradually become more and more cringe. And I know we love to say that cringe is dead, but obviously there is such thing as too far, and we are seeing that happen, and seeing that identification of what too far is in real time at present. So that is Saturn. Let's see, we have, read my note, live our truth, gone too far, find your real no. Saturn will give you more control of your own actions now that he's out of this collective fall. If these two don't play together, Saturn in this one's home has been awful. Find your real no. Saturn will give you control of more, so he's not great in Aries, but he's not nearly as bad as he was in Pisces. Saturn will give you more control, more independence with your own actions, but also it will give you the weight of those consequences, be it for better or worse, right? So if you're selfish and me and going way too hard into the independence and walking all over people, Saturn will be no. We're gonna knock you down. But if you find the healthy balance between individual and community, you should be good. If you use your individual to help the collective, especially with everything like Pluto being an Aquarius and stuff like that, right? Like, if you use your individual as an advantage to help people, to better the world, to do something with it instead of just take, you should be fine, Saturn. That's what Saturn wants, right? Also a big theme, and I liked this one a lot as a perfectionist who is married to another perfectionist. A big theme of this one is don't worry if you're not good at something on the first try. Don't quit if you're not good at something on the first try. If you enjoyed yourself, keep going and learn how to enjoy something just for the sake of enjoying it, not for the sake of being good at it. Saturn is discipline and endurance and, going through things. So I feel like if there's something that you find that you enjoy doing in this 2.5 year window that maybe you're not good at the very first, if you give it the time and the patience and the practice, I feel like the payoff could be huge. Thank you. That's so sweet, Sprinkle. I'm here on Sundays. I am also the main administrator here, so when Lady Lapine does her other streams throughout the week, I will be on in the chat, and I'm available to help with questions there. She's the resident tarot diva, tarot teacher. I can't think of it now, but like, she's the tarot person. I can read them, but I'm not nearly that good. But she reads tarot on Mondays and Fridays, and throughout she also has art streams. Once we're done talking about this, I wanted to take some time, take some questions. I usually do some art of my own on the side. So we are happy to have you here. Feel free to join us as you have time. The cat is Rhiannon. It's me. Lil Lynn is Rhiannon. Surprise! That's why I changed my icon recently. But yeah, so feel free to come hang out. I'm here every Sunday morning or whatever time it is for you. I have coffee, we do art, we talk about the stars for the week. If you have questions, come to me then, or during any other chat. Happy to have you here. Okay. So last week, we got so hung up on, I don't even remember what the transit was, but I was so neck deep into it that I couldn't even think of, it was Uranus coming out of retrograde. We got so hung up on that, I spent like an hour and a half just reading up on that I didn't get to Mercury and Pisces, so I wanted to talk about this a little bit first. Now, everything will say Mercury is in its fall in Pisces, and that's true. Mercury is like communication, there's a lot of logic, there's like just rationality, it's very like concrete and scientific method, and Pisces is like daydreamy and illusionary, and like you dream up something bigger, and Mercury's like, okay, but what if, how do we plan this? And it's just like, I don't know. So these two don't always play together, but Mercury is the closest thing to being a yes way, Sen. Mercury is the closest thing to being a neutral planet. And I love the analogy of Mercury being basically the MSG of the planet. So what it does is it takes these interactions and it does add its own flavor, but it also uses that flavor to make the flavors around it stronger, right? Gotta figure out that pretty... Yep, because Mercury retrograde shadow period starts on the 11th. So if you want to buy a car, I would say plan something out before Wednesday or after the retrograde full period is done, which I think is May 3rd. I have it in my notes. Not May, March. Extended stay for his retrograde. So the whole retrograde period is February 26th through March. He will be in Pisces from February 2nd to April. So bear that in mind, and decide accordingly. So you've got until basically Wednesday or after March. So with Mercury and Pisces, this is technically the sign of his fall. But again, Mercury is the closest thing to a neutral planet. And Mercury I also consider to be like the one with the ADHD, like, and I say that very affectionately, right? It's Mercury Icarus. I mean, no, Mercury's the messenger. Mercury's the messenger. If we have the Greek correspondences, he's Hermes. So he's the wing-footed messenger. He's the son of the sun. And I love Hermes' story of getting into the Olympiads, or getting in with the Olympians. He is hysterical. This is my boy. I love him to pieces. He is my little trickster pain in the butt. So, no, I don't think he's too close to the sun. Like, I know, like, scientifically, yeah, Mercury's a dead planet because it is too close to the sun. But, as far as, like, mythology and stuff goes, no. He's just the messenger. He carries, like, the news from the gods to the people. He is a psychopomp, which means he helps ferry the souls of the dead from the realm of the living to the realm of the dead. There's a lot. He's a very, very busy boy, and I love him for it. So, with Mercury in Pisces, it is the sign of his fall because Mercury likes to be rational, he likes to be reasonable, he likes to logic things out and puzzle it. But also, I think some of this fall is a little bit mitigated because Mercury also is down to have a good time, and he's down to get silly, right? So with Mercury in Pisces, it's your communication gets a little bit fuzzier, it gets a little bit more poetic, you start having a little bit more fun with your words, you're not so exact, right? You have these feelings from Venus and Pisces, and instead of like, I feel this, and this makes me do this, you might be busting out like Shakespearean themed sonnets, right? So it's fall, like you might not be as logical, you might not be as rational, especially when he's in retrograde. But I feel like you can have some fun with it. Yeah, exactly. Stuff with the twin snakes is everywhere, and it's a little bit, I don't want to say frustrating because I knew about the caduceus well before I knew about anything about Hermes and Mercury. But since that's the medical symbol, I'm like, it's supposed to be one snake, not two. That's the symbol for Hermes. That's not the symbol for, I can't remember his name, but the doctor. But it's alright. I really need a little, like, caduceus pen at some point. But everybody be like, oh, are you a doctor? No, I just like Mercury. Venus and Pisces at 3 degrees. There you go. Yeah, so I would take it with Venus and Pisces, especially that early on. Like, they will be probably just about conjunct on that. You might have some really good creative burst, right? So, yes, he's in fall. He likes to have fun. So, he's staying for an extended time in his retrograde. Because of his retrograde, that whole retrograde is going to be in Pisces. He'll be in here from February 2nd, which is already passed, but we didn't talk about it much last week, through April 14th. Right? So, we'll be here for a while, and then the retrograde proper is February 26th through March 20th. Is retrograde. So, he likes to have fun, right? So, like, all work and no play makes Jack a very dull boy, right? So, we've just gotten out of 2 very serious signs, right? We've had Capricorn up here, we've had Aries right here, so we've had to, like, not Aries, Aquarius right here. We've just gotten out of 2 very, it's time for a break, especially before everything rolls into Aries, right? All work and no play makes Jack a very dull boy. My notes that I wrote say, bring more magic into your thoughts, and remember that your intuition does not have to be articulated, right? You can just feel your feelings, and that's okay. Planets going through Pisces are generally asked to surrender. It's the last sign in the zodiac. It is like the mystical side, obviously, of what Pisces represents. So they're asked to surrender what they consider to be business as usual and adapt to Piscean themes. So again, intuition, the gut feelings, the symbolism, not logic. So if you're not open to that with Mercury and Pisces, you might have a hard time, right? But he's more of, again, a neutral player, so I kind of feel like it's going to be more like you're getting lost in your daydreams as opposed to getting trapped into a nightmare, unless you try to stay too rigid with it, right? If you're willing to give it the wiggle room that Pisces and Neptune demands, if you're willing to give it the wiggle room, you should be fine, right? Again, like what we were talking about with Venus and Pisces too, like if you have your tether, you can get lost in the fog and pull yourself back, right? Use it, leverage it for like creativity, for your art, for whatever projects you might have. Leverage it for like critically analyzing some piece of art that you like my task for everybody. I don't know if you were here yet, Sprinkle, but like my task for everybody with Venus and Pisces was go find some weird art that really speaks to you, like deeply speaks to you. It can be love, it can be hate, it can be just, it needs to evoke some kind of real emotion, right? Not just, oh, I like that. Oh, I don't like that. You need to like have a visceral response, and it needs to be strength. It can be like poetry. Stephanie said earlier that she doesn't like Dolly, like she hates Dolly, but like that's the kind of like evocation that I'm looking for. Like I need it, you need it to have some kind of big reaction, for better, or not for worse, but like for good or for bad, basically, right? And like just really sit there and chew on it and figure out why it makes you feel the way you do, right? But be flexible to like just kind of vibe with it too. So again, yeah, if you're too rigid, this period can be confusing and challenging. You want to keep your plans flexible, especially during that retrograde window. Get too strict with plans and your commitments and expectations, and it might blow up. So I'd give yourself, like, if you make plans, give yourself a little bit of breathing room in between. Like things might roll over, things might get canceled, things, you know, might start a little bit sooner than you anticipate, start a little bit later. You just kind of be willing to roll with it, right? One of my notes says certain placements for Mercury feel like ADHD, like unmedicated ADHD, and this is definitely one of them, especially when it goes into retrograde. Just a lot of like being off the medication kind of feeling, right? You might feel scattered, you might feel a little bit overwhelmed, and this might make it harder to like go with the flow just for like all of the like emotions that you're having. But if you make it a point to sit there and like let yourself go with the flow, I'm betting that people can find something that they love and just kind of like hyper focus on it, right? And like make something beautiful out of this time. My last note on here is speak from the heart, not the brain, and make sure to be careful that you're not misunderstood, right? So that is our week ahead. Happy to answer questions while I do art. That's my daily life. Yep. Oh yeah, that the Virgo is absolutely keeping you grounded. Anchoring is important. Death grounds me. Yes. Yes. So, and it's really funny because like, as far as charts go, I've got a lot of. My chart's actually pretty balanced, but I am air dominant, which is very logical and rational stuff, and then I have about the most explosively emotional moon sign that you could have. And I think that keeps me from being too rigid, right? So, that is our week ahead. Let's talk about it for a little while. It is, wow, it took a while. Maybe I am getting better at this. But yeah, a big week ahead. Let's talk about it. We can talk about other things. We can talk about handwriting again. I don't care. Anybody got any thoughts, questions? Talk about stars. I need to look up a picture of a guitar first. Which one is your moon? Mine's a Scorpio moon. And my moon is conjunct Pluto. So, I just told you about how old I am, but that's fine. That's fine. It's a mess. Yeah, I have Mercury, and then Pluto, basically, with that conjunction. It's a very strong Hades moon. Oh, yeah. Yeah, air dominants tend to be fun. I have learned. There was a text post I saw years and years ago because I always said, like, oh, I either really, really like or really, really don't like Geminis. And it turns out that I was just kind of angry at one particular Gemini. But there was a text post right after I figured out I was Gemini rising, and it literally said, what did it say? It said, did it hurt when you realized that your least favorite sign was in your big three? And yeah, a little bit. Nick, if you go to... Oh, thank you. Nick, if you go to AstroSeek, if you look up AstroSeek, like as a website, they have a thing, like if you say AstroSeek birth chart, if you plug in that information, your birth information there, it should be able to tell you. Very difficult time with tonight. Yeah? I think for me, and I'm like, it shouldn't be this way, but I tend to have a harder time with Sagittarius, honestly. At least in the ones that I've known. And it might just be a thing, like, that kind of changes, but for instance, my wife's Scorpio rising, and she was always like, I don't like Scorpios, and then I just sent her that text post after we realized she was a Scorpio rising. Did it hurt? Would you have to know? Not to... Time Passages is excellent. They have a lot of good research, or resources for learning. To find your moon, depending on where it is in the chart, it might be narrowed down to one of two, but oftentimes it will be narrowed down to just one. As long as you know the day and where you were born, you should be able to at least narrow down your moon sign to two. The problem with not knowing what time you're born exactly is there's a lot of, like, implication. There's, like, degree theory that you have to consider for things like that, but, like, just on a surface level, it depends on exactly where your moon is. You could probably figure out where your moon is, though. Or at least narrow it down. The time helps you figure out particularly, one, what degree exactly everything is, and two, where your housing placements are. So if you have your birth certificate and or know who to ask about it, it might be useful to find out. But just for, like, knowing your moon sign, probably it's gonna be fine. Oh yeah, you are Scorpio, pretty heavy, huh? I don't know. Nothing comes to mind. Yeah. Sounds good. I have a link to it, Nick, in the Discord on the Astrology Weekly, I think. At the very top, I have the rules, and I think I have the link if you can't find it in there. Let us know, I'm curious. But yeah, if you should be able to figure out your moon sign and, like, where your planets are. If you don't know the time that you were born, you'll have a harder time with, like, rising. You won't be able to find that out. But just to get to that first leg, that would be good. Yeah, it's pinned. It's at the very top. Or if you go to the pinned messages, it's in the rules thing. Check out the pattern. Which pattern? Are we talking, like, grand trines or things like that? Oh, don't give away too much, Twinkle. Oh, the pattern. No, I I don't want Ninja, or Nick to have to give away too much personal information. He can figure out what his sun and moon are. Pattern. I haven't seen the pattern. I use mostly time passages. I don't like that it's AI generated, but there is a transit calendar on Astrology that's really nice just to see what's happening where. But then I also found a thank you. I also found a what is it called? Oh, a Google Calendar that someone manages that is just literally all of the transits down to what the moon is doing, which seems excessive because the moon's a busy girl. But it's been really nice. I've been thinking about posting that in there. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know if one you got here, but this is going to be an album cover for a friend of mine who is a musician based out of Texas. So I'm pretty excited. He's a smaller fellow, but I can still be like, look at that, my art's on Spotify. But he's got his new album coming out in like a month, and he and I hadn't talked in a while, and he got back in touch with me a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, I'm working on an album. I was like, cool, I'm trying to get my art out there. Do you want help? So I tend to do traditional stuff. And then Lady Lapine, who's the other voice on this channel, the primary voice on this channel, she does digital art. We were talking about it earlier. I struggle with not letting go of old ways to do things, I guess. I found out that, I guess when I was 13 or 14 or 15, that people weren't learning cursive anymore, and I was like, fine, I'll write only in cursive then. And so I only write in cursive, and then I got into digital art like all good millennials did, with the Wacom tablets and stuff, and I had a lot of fun. But when I was trying to do something on paper after so long of doing digital stuff, and I went and I tried to undo the action on the paper by trying to hit Control Z, and there was no Control Z. I was like, I need to work on the traditional stuff more. So I've heard that interpretation. I think what he's talking about are like just how male-bodied folks tend to be sun-dominant and female-bodied folks tend to be moon-dominant, like based off of sciencey stuff. Peak and rest. And again, I would say that everybody's so different, right? But like, if we're like just taking it on that one-to-one level and not considering all of like the potential loopholes and stuff, I think yes, daily or like full calendar monthly would be what most folks would say men are, and then like follow the lunar phases for women. But take that as you will, however you see fit. Obviously, nobody has the same. There are 7 billion genders in the world. Take it as you see fit. So. But yeah, I've read that they could be perceived as being daily cycles, but I've also read that they could be like full sun transiting an astrological sign kind of month. Like, so. Take which one, however it applies to you, but yes, the stereotype is that men are sun dominant and women are moon dominant. I haven't looked up a guitar in so long. Put a string stick on. No. Yeah, and that's fine. Yeah, I'm a little summer sunflower baby, so. But then Lady Lapine, I just have to point out the moon every time we see it. Past life astrology. I haven't gotten that deep yet, but I have been told, and I am interested in it, that I am an extremely old soul. So I'd be curious to see more about it, but right now I'm just still like, I'm pretty well advanced into the basics, but I started dabbling into synastry stuff just a couple of months ago. I'm working on gradually expanding out from just basic kind of astrology stuff. But I have come across like, oh, these are indicators of past life stuff. When I had my chart read, they were like, oh, he might have been a actually good politician. And I went, oh, huh. Still kind of figuring that one out. Stars. Gotta take a trip. Gotta go somewhere where the stars are. Oh, you're obsessed now. Yeah, it's been funny because I had a brief stint with specifically astrocartography, which is like the star signs applied to maps and stuff. Back, I don't know, a couple of years ago, and there was next to nothing on it out there. But obviously, you know, the moment that I kind of like let it go for the most part, it's suddenly all over the place. So I'm sure that past life astrology will have its time with the sun. Let me get obsessed with it, right? Let me get obsessed with it and then give up because there's no information, and then wait like 6 months. And then you'll have all of past life stuff that you want. Do I have anything else finished? No, not really. Look at ancestors to help build them a guide. Do not blame some friction there. If you look at your draconic chart, a little bit, not a whole heck of a lot, but a little bit. Guys, like, you should chill with your ancestors to help heal them or give guidance. I like, do not blame the son for the sin. Father, take accountability for something. I, for my chart, have that kind of a weight too. Of like, I came here apparently to fix all of my family's problem, and I'm like, this is not my fault. I did not do this. Your burden should not be mine to bear. Like, I too have been wrestling with that feeling. But there's also an element too of like, how do I say it? I've kind of framed it as a, if you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours kind of thing, right? Like, I am happy to help you if you help me kind of thing. And I find, at least with my ancestor work, that just me doing what I know to be right and living my truth and being the way that I need to be, a lot of that has seemed to be a lot of the healing that my ancestors need, right? Cats and tax for giving me good stuff. Yes, before you go, pet the kitty, Steph. All 3 of them. Yeah, for me, it's just with my ancestry healing and stuff, right? It's just being aware of the types of mistakes that my family has made through the years, like that I know of, right? I don't know everything that they've done because I can't go that far back, but you know, like the stories that I've heard about the struggles or the challenges that they faced, and being very deliberate about not making those same mistakes. And with that has come a lot of appreciation from them, right? It's not transactional wasn't quite the right word for it exactly, but per my chart, I have gone like past immediate ancestors, and I'm going, okay, everybody, give me all of your troubles, and I'm going to fix them. And I'm like, that's a lot. That's a lot to put on me that I apparently volunteered for. I'm going to need some help, right? And I find that a lot of it is just mostly living my truth and being careful not to fall into like the traps that I know that my family have fallen into in the past, right? Like being very deliberate about what I do. Leaving offerings, that's a big part of my ancestry stuff. But like just working with them to be the best self you can be, just to fix a lot of or help things. Maybe left behind the head pats aren't working. It's somewhere. There's buttons on here that I don't know how to. It's me and technology, right? I'm very good at some of it and very bad at other parts. Yeah, it's a big thing. I was talking to the guy reading my chart, and I was like, it's giving a giving tree. And apparently somehow I am simultaneously supposed to be like the ancestral giving tree while also learning to not be such a giving tree. Get under the chin. But the more that I thought about it, the more that I realized, like, oh, that's part of the generational curse that I have to break, is like knowing when to not overextend myself just for the sake of being generous. Like, yes, I need to help people heal. Yes, talk to people. I need to be generous and I need to be kind. But I cannot do that at the expense of myself. And I feel like that was a lot of some of the stuff that my family needed to learn over the years, or at least the ones that I can think of immediately. Was find the balance between giving out of selflessness and giving out of selfishness. Like, when is it giving to actually help? When is it giving to inflate its own ego? There's been a lot of that going on, and that's kind of... Alright, I'll talk to you later, Steph. Thank you for hanging out. Good luck with the taxes. I've been avoiding mine. Oh. I don't know how much that helps, but I hope it helps a little bit. Yeah, I mean, don't share what you don't need to, or what you're not supposed to share, Nick, obviously, right? But like, yeah, there's definitely a balance, and you can still talk to Osiris or whomever it may be at any given point, right? Be like, okay, but I cannot lose myself in this process, right? How do I make sure that I don't go too far? I overgive way too much, and I still haven't learned not to do that. Quite dependent. Yep, and that was a big thing of mine, was to like demesh myself from that codependent in a lot of ways. A big lesson for me, sprinkle, that might help you. I don't know, maybe it won't, and if it doesn't, just disregard it, right? But like, literally just hearing someone point blank say to me, do not give anything that you cannot afford to lose, helped me a lot. I'll look at the song later. We've had a rough couple of weeks. It's been a lot, so I've been a little bit out of it. But boy howdy, we sure have had Saturn in the last couple of degrees of Pisces, and it has been taking me out back and giving me a bad time. That's how that works, right? Like on the fretboard, like the spaces are bigger up top, and then it gradually gets smaller. But yeah, codependence is tough. But just don't, like, obviously give, right? If you can help someone, good. But you cannot forgive to the point that it's just way too much of an I trust you. Yeah. Yeah, of course. Give joyfully, Nick. Like, that's not what I'm saying. I'm always happy to help people when I can. Right? But after a certain point, if people cannot expect you to be their only source of help if they really need it, right? Like, not all the time, right? You can help someone out of a pinch, you can support someone having a bad time, you can do a lot. There's a lot that you can do. But you cannot do it to the point that it ends up hurting you. And I had to learn that lesson hard. I think it's lovely. Right, like, how are you going to be able to help people if you have already given everything away that you had with which to help them, right? Like, and if you can't, there's something there about, like, if you've spent everything, you have nothing else to give, right? Like, one, you can't take care of anybody else, but two, also, like, now you're the one that, like, it's come full circle and now you need help. And everybody will need help at some point or another, but, like, too much of anything is bad, right? That's, I think, I don't have a judgmental bone, and I probably should judge more, but I like the way that I am. Yeah, like, if that's good for you, just, I don't know, when something itches, maybe this isn't quite right, then maybe that's your sign, or maybe you have a rule of, like, yes, I will give you the benefit of a doubt up front every single time, but if you abuse it, then X, Y, Z, right? Give tools, give advice, objects, temporary. Can't fill in others, leaving yours empty. Right. You have to put your own mask on first. Right. So, I too enjoy giving people the benefit of a doubt, but because I have been walked on so many times because of it, I have a pretty hard rule of, if you walk on me, I might give you one chance, right? Like, if you abuse that trust that I have offered you, you might get, based off of, like, the situation surrounding it and stuff, right? Like, it's going to be different for everybody, right? But, like, if you abuse that trust that I offer you, I will have to act on it. I'm not just going to blindly trust you again. Right? And maybe that's my bitchy Scorpio moon talking, right? Like, I have big, big feelings, and if you abuse them, I might forgive, but I will not forget. That is very true for me. And I might even, like, when I say, oh, you've abused my trust, ergo I won't trust you anymore, like, it doesn't even mean that I'm going to cut you out, but, like, whatever it was that you hurt me with, I will remember it, and I will consider it when I am making decisions based, in the future. Of course, there. Well, be careful. But you know what you need to do. So. Yeah. Empaths being abused is the most don't be a toxic or wrong ever. Yeah. All of these are true. So, I have that Scorpio moon, and it is, yes, it is the fire sign of the water sign. It is spicy, but it is also still a water sign. It's heavily emotional. It's deep. It is feeling. It is, in its own way, possibly a giver kind of thing, right? But, like, too much is too much. And if you bite the hand that feeds, I can't do anything about it. know when to pause and recharge, absolutely. And I had to learn when to pause and recharge the hard way several times. Sprinkle, same, hard same. I think to my advantage I have the ADHD, the daydreamy one, which plays well into Mercury's themes of like just kind of getting lost in thought. But yeah, pausing's hard. Sitting down, and I am lucky in that I like to plan things. I am lucky in that I like to plan things. Otherwise, I would be flying by the seat of my pants for everything, and that's no good. Cancer moon isn't any better. Yeah. Scorpio's got the singer, Cancer's got the pincher. At least with Cancer, the moon is in her domicile. I think that helps you a little bit. But Mars and the moon, and Mars is the old ruler of Scorpio, and it's Pluto now. Mars and the moon. Ooh-wee. It's a time. I don't know. I'm past this guitar off is done. I don't want to keep doing it. Ugh. I need it. There we go. Mark it. Yeah. That's a lot of what's been really good. Like, oh, this might not be inherently why I do something. If we're just looking at it as a roadmap, I could have gone and done this way, but it makes sense why I do it based off of what the teacher did. Yeah, I have plans for my backup plans I have backup plans for my backup plans. Like, if I don't have plans X, Y, and Z, then I will never even think about planning or exacting A, B, and C. Yeah. Think more than you say. Someone with the ADHD, I don't know. I think a lot that I don't say. But I get what you mean, though. Yeah. Scorpio Mars is definitely my favorite place in my chart. What I'm really like wrestling with, and maybe y'all know. So, I'm Gemini rising and also a Gemini Mars. So Mars is in my first house. And they're like, oh, you might be hot-headed, you might be this, that, and the other. And like, yes, I do have big feelings, but I don't know inherently that it's so like ambitious, and I'm not sporty. So I've been like wondering, like, it doesn't feel quite right, but I'm not sure if maybe it is exactly, like maybe it's just I show it a different way, but like, I don't know, I wanted to hear people's takes that know things about astrology, like what they would think about it. If I told you, which I am now, like my Mars is in my first house, I feel like I'm having Nick's problem of like, I don't feel particularly aggressive. How people would interpret that. Because again, I'm learning all of this stuff too, right? Like I'm pretty far along in my journey, but there's still something I learned today, right? Her plans, I'm just awesome. Dude, I recently met Scorpio Mars as well, the same degree of ooh-wee. Yeah. No, that's what the guy who read my chart said. Was like, your chart is difficult, but it is stunning. Like, if I figure out what I need to do to work through all of these things, as I understand it, I am capable of a lot. And I can see that, like, going through my life and stuff. Like, I can see a lot that I have accomplished that I could be like, oh, well, it makes sense because I have this here and this here, right? Like, of course I would leverage this energy to do that. But, like, yeah, this one in particular that I'm just, like, kind of stumped by. I also, Sprinkle, have a T-square in my chart. Come out as aggressiveness to yourself. I am very hard on myself. That would make sense. I've gotten a lot better about it over the years, but, like, the perfectionism in me is strong. I could see that. That makes sense. But it's a very And there's parts of it that I can see, right? Like, what is it? Ambitious and driven and stuff like that. Like, yes, I can once I can decide on what I want to do, once I like stop like ruminating on options A through double A, double B, like all the way through the alphabet and then back, right? Like once I stop ruminating on the options and I actually decide to do something, yes, I'm very driven, I'm very dog-headed, I will stop at nothing, but I'm also like, you could be sporty, you could be doing this, you could be, and I'm like, no. I like taking walks. I don't like running. Oh, Sprinkle, thank you. That means a lot. The rest, you have big things. Yeah. Hurry up and wait is one of my least favorite things. I guess that could be now that I'm thinking about the Mars in my first house. Like, hurry up, have everything ready. Oh, okay, well now you have to sit there and wait for the time to be right. Absolutely not. Screw you. It's time to go. I laid out all of my plans. Yep. I assumed that was my Scorpio moon, but yep, that too. Aggression for me is just increased. Mad aggression. I've always been... So depending on how you look at things, I'm either an only child or the eldest. Right, because I got raised with my little cousin, who is like my little brother. But also there's a pretty big age gap between us, so I exhibit healthy signs of both. Healthy doses of both. And, anger issues, I would have them. Like, I wasn't spoiled, right? Like, maybe a little bit, but I wasn't particularly spoiled. Notably spoiled, but when things don't go right, or at least when I was, like, learning how to be a tiny human, like, most humans would have a breakdown, but, like, yeah, it hit hard. But so much of that anger is internal or inward focused or the perfectionism, things like that. I don't know. Yes, I am. We were talking about like Saturn and Aries being like, be careful not to be too independent, and I would joke and I was like, if I was not on a particular medication that I absolutely have to have, I would love to go, oops, sorry, I knocked the camera. I would absolutely love to just go hide in the woods. And I joke and I say that like, I don't know, one of my favorite fictional characters is Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec. And like, I don't agree with him politically, but like, there's a lot of that I'm like, hell yeah, man, I wish. I wish I could do that. I can see right down. Jack and I think I'm part of it. Emotion. No, I'm too much of a people pleaser at the end of the day, Nick. People get mad at me. I'm like, what did I do? I'm sorry. That's been a lot of having to outgrow too. Anyway, Sprinkle, I don't know if you're on Discord or not, but if you are, in the link on the 10th chat, Lady Lapon and I keep the Discord and you're welcome to come hang out. We tend to be a pretty chill bunch. And we have some of the regulars here, what with some stuff here earlier. I don't know, can we call this guitar done? I'm so done with this picture. I'm so done. Found out, named. Yeah. Do a real light wash, give it some depth. Gonna be on an album cover. This would be perfect. There we go, showing that again, huh? Photo back car. I was gonna be going the wrong way though. Going more this way. Yeah, cool. Yeah, there's the link in the pinned chat at the very top. Lady Lapine. Come join us. It's a quiet little server still, but We're growing slowly but surely. I don't despise people. When people are dumb, I get frustrated with them. I do love people, but I am also extremely introverted. So my favorite thing to do is go stand in the middle of a big crowd where I'm not obligated to know anybody and just kind of like ride that high and experience like humanity as a greater whole. If I host a party, I tend to be fine. But last night I literally had to go to someone else's party and like was not having a good time. No, I like people. I have to, at the end of the day, I really have to go recharge my battery. I can only do so much. Anxiety. This just doesn't feel very Mars in the first house to me. I should be... You might be extroverted. Nope. You might be this. Nope. I will go back and read it. Yeah. Yeah. I guess we're talking about things that we don't like about our chart, Nick, is that everything points to you need to be a teacher, you need to be a leader, you need to do acts of service. And I'm like, yes, acts of service is my love language, but I would like to be able to be selfish for once. If we're just talking about like being frustrated at the workload that our ancestors have given us. I'm like, what if I had a second that I could just be mean and do things that I wanted to? And that's been really hard to wrestle with, but I'm hoping that doing this, and I'm hoping that, you know, sharing, being brave, and putting my art out there for the world is a good step. I feel like Cancer would like, well, I'm like, I wonder if Cancer might water it down, or I wonder if it would make us, like, angry even more. A tour de force. Excuse me, I got the hiccup. There we go. I like hosting, but attending is a bit trickier. I think anyway. Yeah. So I do have social anxiety, but, like, the way that I explain it is, like, I have second person social anxiety. So I can host the party. One, it makes me as an observer. Yes, Sen is right. Two, I am in control of who shows up, and I know everybody, or I at least tangentially know everybody, because someone might bring like their significant other that I might have not met before, you know, something like that. But like, I am in control of the guest list, and then I get to like keep myself busy hosting and, you know, things like that. But if I am just, or I can go stand in the middle of a crowd, like a concert or a festival or something like that, and I can just ride those waves, basically, and I'm not required to interact with anybody. I'm not required to, you know, introduce myself. I can make a friend, and nothing is stopping me from talking to people, and if it happens, great, but I'm also not, like, expected to play nice and introduce myself to everybody that I meet and not, you know, like, sit there and chit-chat, right? Like, if it happens, but if it doesn't, you're not at fault, basically, right? And then second person parties apply to things like actual parties and office spaces and jobs and workforce and stuff. It's where you are not in control of the guest list. You may be tasked with a chore, maybe, if you're lucky, but you are expected to, like, introduce yourself and mingle and talk to people and be nice and do things. And I'm like, I hate this. This is awful. And literally last night we had to go do this, and it ended up working out. Like, we talked to somebody, and we weren't there for the whole party, but, like, just after the last couple of weeks, it was awful. When it was bad, it was bad. Libra, Aries, Cancer with a Scorpio, Mercury, and ooh-wee. One of the tools, the division of now, life, independent life. Yeah, there's a lot of that. Cancer is one of the... Yeah, you push them, they'll snap out without even realizing. That was what I was thinking. It was like, well, they'll be fine until they're very not fine. And then they will suddenly be extremely not fine. Independent, still fine. Yeah, of course. Everything is connected, something, intermeshed, codependence, if handled correctly, is correct. Like, that's, yes. It's been very hard for me to learn over my years. I want to do everything. I want to, not in like a mean control freak, but I do have a control freak streak. Like, it's hard. This guitar look done. Can I just call this guitar done? It's not shaded very well, but it's gonna be periphery. It's not done. Tell me what needs to be done. I don't want to think about it anymore. Ugh. So tired of painting succulents. Really happy with myself after a second of it. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. No, I agree. I don't like putting myself in those situations. That's why I like making friends in those third-person spaces, because, like, yes, I can just go hide in the corner, but also, like, then I get to interact, and then if we click, and that's cool. But also, I'm not expected to, so it feels a lot more realistic or genuine. Basically, when the pandemic hit and everybody went remote, my wife looked at me about 6 months in when I wasn't having to go into an office and put on that mask and functioning every day. She looked at me about 6 months in and I'm thriving. Like, we're never allowed to work inside an office again. Hey, Doji! Welcome in. You are late, but that's okay. We're just kind of hanging out. I've got this picture mostly finished. I can get up real quick and go get the other one that we wanted to work on, but we're just talking stars right now. Hello, late. I am Nick. We are late again. Hi. Hello, Doji. Or nope. Hello, Lynn. Nope. I'm Lynn. Wow. Sorry. It's been a couple of 2 weeks, ain't it? Hello, late. I am Lynn. There we go. Thank you. Yeah, we were working on the guitar, very small, but the stars went pretty hard today, or for the week. I need to get all that typed up. We're working on the guitar because he asked for it to be finished, but I'm also just like, what if this is finished? What if we're done? Have we considered being done? So I think we might be done, and we can just look at it. We'll just look at it. I need to finish the loading screen of my own personal loading screen. That Lady Lapine was gonna animate a little bit for me. It's a watercolor piece. But I will get that later. It's been rough in general, yeah. Cat didn't let me sleep super great last night either, so it's been fine. I'm fine. It's like, buddy, have a nap, please? No, it's time for pet. I was awake all day. No, I was asleep. So, Doji, you were a little bit late. Venus is doing a lot of kind things this week, and then towards the end of the week, on Friday, Saturn is going in. So, an interesting setup leading up to Valentine's Day, but it can be fine. And everybody's job while Venus is in Pisces is to find weird art that speaks to you. Also, have you considered chilling out in winter? You don't get to chill out in winter. How about, have you considered still having to do everything around snowstorms, apparently? Around deep freezes. That's what 2026 is doomed to be for those of y'all in the Northern Hemisphere still. So we'll see how it goes once they see winter down. But there's definitely been a lot of hurry up and wait this year. But we're coming up to it's go time pretty quick, so. Winter is for sleep. I couldn't agree more. Winter is for sleep, and I wish the powers that be would accept that. But no, Maybe that's what will cause the revolution, is people will be like, I'm tired. I am a mammal and it is time to hibernate. My candle went out. I don't know where the lighter is. At least not the one in here. Oh well. Anyway, so. 5 days. 30 days, 30 out. No. There you go. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. It's supposed to start storming down here later this week. It'll be pretty exciting. It got really hot and muggy early last week. And like, I'm fine with heat and muggy, but like when I sweat and it doesn't dry off, that's when I start getting a little bit annoyed, right? So it was a little bit rough there for a minute. But then we had a storm overnight, and then it got really, really temperate for a couple of days there. Like the last couple of days have been gorgeous. And it's going to start getting warmer again. We're going to storm again, apparently. At least the last time I checked. We could use the rain, so I'm excited for the storms. I don't really think I have anything. I was working on this a while ago, but I lost the. Yeah, we're working on some. I really wanted to play with shading and like how colors surrounding something pale like impact the shading. So I found this really neat picture. It's like a art study, I guess. Like obviously the bust and the fabric picked over it. I'd like to go back and pick it up again. I have to go find the picture again. I was pleased with how far it got. I like this part in particular. I don't know my art journal anyway. Rain is nice to reflect and sleep. I like it when it's raining, just great. I just hate having obligations when it's raining or snowing. Like if I can just sit in my house and stare out of the window, that's great. But if I have to leave my house, it's not so great anymore. Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting. It was a fun little project. I really want to focus some more on. That's kind of what I've been like since I've really gotten back into doing things other than just sketches, right? I've really been trying to work on like fabric wrinkles and also how colors impact shading. And I've been paying attention apparently in the 10 years that I only did pencil sketches. And rain's soothing. Oh, man. I can't have complete silence. My brain goes too far. Alrighty, my dears. I've been here for 2.5 hours. Does anybody have any star questions? Otherwise, since we're done with the picture, go ahead and call it for the day. For me, it's darkness. Like, I can't have light, but also I need light in the morning to wake up, so I have to just like night mask. But I have to have a fan or something going on in the background. If things are too still, I can't sleep because my brain won't stop. So it can be something like a fan. It can be the paint. Is Gaia the asteroid? There's no Gaia in astrology because she is Earth itself. Or herself. Not shown on most birth charts, but your Earth or we're reading this together, okay? It's not shown on most birth charts, but your Earth or Gaia sign is always opposite to the Sun. For example, as I write this, Aquarius, Earth thus travels to Gaia and her many cultural equivalents are often depicted as being natural groovers, frolic in the flowers and earth. Chicken? I know what it means, but I don't know how to pronounce it. Perhaps even barefoot are able to bake / flip hot food with a spark burn. These portrayals came from male painters of the vintage era. So Gaia is Earth. Too many questions. You're not afraid of the ban. What's Mother Nature's vibe up to? I feel like for what Mother Nature's vibe is up to, all you have to do is like look at the weather. The audio's a little static. Oh, that's fine. We're wrapping up. I can deal with it later. I also turned my head away from the mic. So that might have been part of it. Anyway, so as far as the Gaia sign, if your sun is in Aries, then the opposite sign is your theoretical Earth sign would be in Libra. Makes the void sentence chilling there. So, but as far as what she's up to, I don't know, just look at the weather. Anything else? You won't get banned if it's star related. I just can't do, well, I mean, I theoretically could do tarot, but I'm not nearly, you don't want to do that with me. So a lot of Valerian, yes, there you go. See, you figured it out. Just look at the weather. That's what Gaia's up to. So. Anything else? Feeling good? Feeling equipped? If you need to, join the Discord. Be around to help you out there. Up with questions in the astrology chat. Or talk to us in the general chat. We've had a bit going on, so it's been a little bit quiet there, and we're sorry about that. At least I'll be able to be more active soon, so. Once? Twice? No? Okay, well, if you need me, you know where to find me. Otherwise, same bat channel, same bat time. I'll be back on Sunday. Monday, or tomorrow, is the art stream in the early afternoon for us, and then tarot in the evening. Those are both with me. You're very welcome. And Wednesday is just an art stream, I believe, and then Friday afternoon is so come hang out. If you need me, I will be in those chats. Bring your star questions then. Otherwise, yep, we'll go through things on Sunday, and we have that big conjunction coming up, so stay tuned. Alrighty, gang. I'll talk to you later.